Hello out there in podcast land. This is Uncle Yab, and we're gabbing with Yab again. And today, I got a good friend of mine that's here, an old Navy buddy of mine, John Herron. How you doing, buddy?
All right, what's up?
Yeah, me and John, we've been knowing each other for a long time. John, how long has it been, man? 15 years at least?
15, 16?
Huh?
About 15, 16 years?
Yeah. We've been knowing each other from Jacksonville, Florida. We was on the USS John F. Kennedy together. And I met John there. We were pretty much one of the older petty officers there, and we got along real good. You know, we were probably the same age, and we always did things together and did things alike, and we just hit it off from the get-go.
Similar interests.
Right. So tell me where you from, John.
Born and raised in little town, Ravenel, South Carolina. That's right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. It's still Charleston County. Yeah, so South Carolina, Charleston.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, this is...
3 brothers, 3 sisters, 2 brothers passed.
Yeah, we've always, me and John has always connected, but we never really sat down and did a podcast thing. So I said during the time that I'm getting this podcast together, I want to interview him because he's one of my good friends, and you don't get to do that all the time with people that you're friends with. They're either doing other things or gone or something like that. But he came up to see me. I'm down here in the DMV visiting my mom and my sister, and right now I'm just interviewing him and making sure he's doing what he's supposed to do, and he's doing it good. He's working down at the shipyard. How's the shipyard going, man? How's that life treating you?
It's a job. It's good.
Nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a job, John.
It's consistent.
Yeah. And he
pays the bills.
He said 15 years in the military, he can't get away from the military. He's still working on ships. But that's all right, man, because at least you got a job. You got to work somewhere. Somebody got to work, you know.
33 years naval service.
And that's excellent, man. I appreciate it.
Service, active duty, and reserves.
We all appreciate it. I did 20 years, and like I said, for the both of us, we are Navy veterans, and we did our bit to society, and we did our time, you know. And the Navy wasn't always good. It was a little bad here and there, just things that happened. But for the most part, I know your 33 years. You know, would you give it back? Would you take it back?
No. Yeah, there's just like everything else. There's trials and tribulations. So you got to take the good with the bad, vice versa.
Yeah, that's right. Just like with me, man. And the thing that's good about the situation with us, we've been all over the place, and we've seen a lot of things, you know. And I still like traveling to this day, you know. But I know when I went to the military, we was in Italy, Sicily, France, Spain. We went to a lot of places, man. And you as well. You went to Africa, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's one place that I've never been.
Oh.
I always wanted to go to Africa.
Mombasa,
Kenya. Right. That's a good place, man. That's definitely what I wanted to go, and I wasn't able to do it. But just tell me something about that place, man.
First went to Africa, Mombasa, back in my first deployment back in 1988. We're in the theater on our, you know, we're in the Mediterranean, not in the Mediterranean, it's in the Persian Gulf. We're supposed to hit Australia, which I was looking forward to, but that got messed up from a mishap on board one of the other ships to relieve us. So they threw us in the Mombasa, Kenya. So I didn't get to do the safari back then. I chose to stay in Mombasa and hang out with the fellas, but then I missed out on the safari, and it was a really good time, what I've heard. So in 2009, when I was on Arleigh Burke, we went back to Mombasa, and I was thinking when we went back to Mombasa from both the East Coast and West Coast, I pretty much circumnavigated the entire globe from the East and from the West. This time I got to do the safari, and it was well worth it. It was quite of the experience to remember.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. The one thing about me, I never really did none of the safaris and stuff like that because I never had a chance to go to Mombasa, Kenya. But I went to Tunisia, which is the northern part of Africa.
You spent too much time looking at the bottom of beer bottles. And
Exactly.
So
Being a sailor, But I wish that I could have did a lot of things like that, man. But overall, I had a good time. I went to Corfu, Greece. I went to Rhodes, Spain. I went to Crete, Greece. I went to Corfu, Greece, and I've been to the Azores and things like the Portuguese island. And the one thing I can say about the military, we got a chance to go everywhere. And I was stationed in all different places. I was stationed in a little island called Guam, up in the Micronesian Islands. I was stationed in Hawaii for 3 glorious years. And I was stationed in Florida, as well as Japan. And I was in a place called Yokosuka, Japan. And at that time, I was stationed on the USS Kitty Hawk.
don't mean to. You're the host and I'm the guest, but talk about your Navy career relates from the years you were on each ship, and I'll do it as well.
All right, okay.
Yeah, starting from basic training all the way to.
Well, I came in the Navy in 1990, basic training, and each call it Great Mistakes, but they call it Great Lakes. So I went from Great Lakes straight to my ship. I went to my ship, and my ship was called the USS Grapple. It was a rescue salvage ship, and for you guys that don't know what a rescue salvage ship is, it was basically like a ship that, on that movie, A Few Good Men, with Cuba Gooding Jr. and, what's the other guy name?
From Cuba?
Yeah, A Few Good Men.
Mm.
This guy, Robert De Niro.
There we go.
Robert De Niro.
Right.
He was the guy that was teaching Cuba Gooding.
Yeah, he was the Master Chief.
He was the Master Chief head diver, and that was the type of ship I was on at first, a diving ship, and I was on that ship for 5 years, and I was stationed out of Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, from that place, I went to shore duty. Shore duty is like a place where you can do like a kind of like a 9 to 5 versus being on a ship and you being out to sea. And I was Assault Craft Unit 2. And what we did there was pretty much fixed up the assault craft units. I was like a part of the maintenance department. I'm a welder. I was a welder in the Navy. So we did a lot of maintenance work and stuff like that. So I stayed there probably for like 3 years. And then I went overseas to Guam. And I went on what you call a subtender ship called the USS Frank Cable. And what the subtender does, we go alongside ships and we tend the ships. We get work orders and we go out and fix them. So I did that for a while. Then I wound up going to Japan on the Kitty Hawk. So I was in the Kitty Hawk for about a year. Yeah, about a year and a half. I left there, went to the USS Frank Cable in Honolulu, Hawaii. And that's where I had a really good time there. And that was a destroyer tender, DDG-77. So I did a lot of Westpacs and stuff like that. Westpac meaning Singapore and places like that. Okay, I left there after 3 years, and I went to Florida, and I got on the John F. Kennedy. And that was my last ship in my career, and I was there maybe, 7 months, almost a year.
I thought you were.
What is it? Okay. Right. Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm missing one. Then I went back. I went to the after I left Florida, I went back to Virginia, and I was at a sub. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Submarine Support Center, Navy Submarine Support Center, Norfolk, and that's where I retired. So I've been in a lot of places, seen a lot of things, and it's been 20 years, but I don't regret it. It was good. What about you?
As I said before, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston back at that time, growing up, was a pretty rural southern city. So when I joined the Navy in 1987, when I went to basic training, the recruiter gave me the unique opportunity to pick my basic training. And as a kid, I always dreamt about California. At that time, San Diego was opened. So he gave me the opportunity to pick my basic training. Of course, I was going to pick San Diego. So in summer 1987, I went to San Diego, done my basic training, and then in December, when I was done with back then I came in another food service, which was MS. I was a mess specialist. People out there don't know what making a mess is, but it's cooking.
Yep.
So when I got my orders for my first duty station, the idea of being an aircraft carrier was really awesome. I was going to be in aviation, but being a cook, that's probably the least place you want to go, considering you're cooking for 5,000 individuals. So anyway, I got my orders and kind of find out, well, I was going to an aircraft carrier, and then I guess in the back of my mind I would go basic training and come back east. But by me picking San Diego, pretty much destined me to be a West Coast sailor. So when I got my first orders, it was to the USS Carl Vinson in Alameda, California, which is San Francisco Bay. San Francisco ended up being a phenomenal place to be, if nobody's ever been there. For a young sailor with no transportation, it is like dearest thing for being in New York City on the West Coast, especially you're a young country boy with all the opportunities. So it was definitely a big awakening.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I done 2 deployments. Same thing, I done Westpacs. So I mean, we went to Hawaii, to Busan, Korea, to Singapore, to Hong Kong.
I've been to all those places too.
Where else did we go? And then, of course, like I said, we were supposed to go to see Australia, but we lost it, so we went to Mombasa, Kenya instead. Mm-hmm. Came back from that deployment, and like I said, San Francisco, I just can't elaborate how awesome a duty station San Francisco was. A lot of things, a lot of pretty California girls, and it really awesome. I done a second deployment. We spent like 2 weeks in the Philippines. I wish I should have got off the boat, but I didn't. We got underway for me to re-enlist, and they said, well, we're calling you if we're going to re-enlist. I said, I'm not re-enlisting. He said, so I should have left the boat in the Philippines. So they put me on what they call a COD, a carrier onboard delivery, and catted me off the boat. And we're back in Philippines, and I had just an awesome time in Philippines by being the only sailor running around in Philippines.
Yeah.
Luzon.
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think. You guys. What's that base down there?
Subic Bay.
Yeah, Subic Bay.
But it's Olongapo.
Yeah.
Olongapo is the town.
I always known in Subic Bay.
Right. So there's in Olongapo. So I was only staying in Olongapo. Said all the girls to myself, which was pretty awesome.
Okay.
So I flew out, and they flew us back to the States, and I guess one of those things I thought was cool about flying back to the States, that we were in Tokyo and Narita International Airport, and one of the guys that was flying back with me, younger guy, going back to South Carolina just like I was, noticed, well, he asked me, he said, hey, is it that Hulk Hogan? I said, well, I don't know if that is Hulk Hogan or not. So we looked across there, you see this blonde hair, big dude. Well, we know it was Hulk Hogan, and they call first class, and all these Japanese reports were swamping around like little midgets around compared to he's so big. But anyway, so we went back home, and I went to before I decided to get out, the ship was going to go to Bremerton, Washington, to go into the yards, and I was thinking about staying on the boat, re-enlisting, going to college, and follow the ship to Washington State. I didn't do that. I wanted to come back home because I was a young, homesick kid.
Yeah.
Just to come back home, my family asked me, "What the hell am I doing back home?" So I said, I therefore bought a one-play ticket to Seattle, Washington, and I don't think my family expected me to last too long, but that lasted for 10 years. And Seattle was another. If you've never been to Seattle, it's a great place. I really grew up a lot in Seattle, but
I've never been there.
right. But during that time frame, I was out in the Navy yet. I stayed in the Naval Reserves, and I was first on a minesweeper, USS Pledge on Lake Union. Of course, I was cooking. I didn't like it at all, and I had the opportunity to transfer to the Seabees. I was at Norfolk Navy Mobile Construction Battalion 18 out of Fort Lewis, Washington, which is down by Tacoma. And I think the funnest thing we went to there was going to Guam. Guam was, I don't know if you've ever been to Guam, but Guam was another pretty awesome place to go to.
I've been to Guam as well. I've been stationed there.
2000 rode around. I just had a bad breakup with my girlfriend. And I'm thinking about I need to come back home and get close to the family. And of course, at 3 or 4 years of age, I'm going to go put my family out. So I said, well, the best way to get close to family is come back on active duty. And that's exactly what I did.
Right.
So I came back as a damage controlman, which is shipboard firefighting.
Yep.
It's like the bastard child to be an HT like Larry was. But nobody really like the HTs in DC when they butt heads sometimes.
So, he was a part of the fire department on the ship.
Right. So in 2000, I came back on active duty, went to DC training, and that's when I went to Great Mistakes, which is Great Lakes, outside of Chicago. My first ship was on the USS Kaufman, frigate out of Norfolk, Virginia. I spent like a year and a half on board. We were about to go on deployment. The entire time I had like a jerk chief that didn't really care for me that much. I didn't care for him too. So I had to get away off the boat because either one of us or both of us going to get seriously hurt. So I had to get off that boat. So I managed to get off the boat. That's when I went to Seaman Norfolk or Marmac, right there close to his sub-command, right across the street. And pretty much what Seaman does, that they repair ships. I mean, the really ships is on the waterfront, and so that's what primarily your mission is. Of course, after 9/11 happened in September 11, 2001, there was no ships to repair because they were all deployed. So we had a really awesome shore duty. There ain't that much to be doing except for a bunch of partying and hanging out. Yeah. So that was that. So I spent 4 years at SEMA. 2006, I was up for orders. I really want to go anywhere, but the only thing the Navy was going to give me at that point was the USS John F. Kennedy in Mayport, Florida, and that's where I met my buddy here, Larry. Yep. And like I said before, that we're like the older cats in the division. Yep. We've been around for several years. We were up to doing the foolishness and the idiocracy that the younger cats were doing. So we kind of created a friendship and hanging out and kind of checking out the Jacksonville area.
Speaking of which, have you seen any of the older guys that's on that ship?
Not on the Kennedy. No. From my last command, I do. I see a lot. I see a lot of people at the shipyard.
Oh yeah.
So I work for Norfolk Naval Shipyard in North Portsmouth now.
He just can't get away from the ship.
Yeah. So so after I left the Kennedy, I could have went anywhere in the world instead of staying in Mayport, which people in the Navy spends a lifetime. That's like a dream duty station to stay in Mayport. But of course, in my infinite wisdom, or not my lack of vision or craziness, stupidity, I choose to get a ship station back out of Norfolk because I just prefer Norfolk over Florida for some crazy reason. So I went on board. They're transferred to USS Arleigh Burke, DDG 59, and I made 2 deployments on her. This time, before we were Westpacs, this time we were like doing more Northern European cruises, like Fast Lane Scotland and Road to Spain and Barcelona,
Right.
Cyprus and Crete
Wow.
and Mykonos and Algiers, Algeria, Djibouti, North Africa, Mombasa, Kenya, DL Salom, Tanzania.
Did you ever go to Dubai?
We never made it to Dubai. We went with the Bahrain.
I went to Bahrain.
We went with the Bahrain.
Yep.
Yeah, we went on that particular point. We made as far as south to Cape Town, South Africa, which I think of all them. I'm leaving off the islands, and I got to mention that. But I would say of all the places I've been to, I could really see myself living in Cape Town, South Africa. I was very impressed with South Africa. The other place I could really consider would be the Seychelles. The Seychelles was phenomenal.
Yeah, with
It
the
was one of the
Seychelles.
most beautiful places I've ever been,
Yep.
as well as Mauritius and Reunion.
When did you
So-
to Seychelles?
Yeah, so that last deployment was like see more and one. Typically, we're in the Navy, and Larry can justify this. That you spend more time out to sea than you do in seeing ports.
Yes.
This deployment, we spent more time seeing ports than being out to sea. So it was that last deployment was awesome. 2010, the Navy decided with their infinite wisdom and crazy program to push me out the door with 20. I guess with active duty, with 13 years active, 10 years reserves. They decided nothing of my fault of my own, but it's just for this reduction to push me off prematurely. So that's when I got into the civilian sector, and so I'm ready in Norfolk, Virginia. Gone with Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and that's where I'm since 2010. I'm sorry, excuse me. To 2011, I'm still at Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and bought my time back. Only have 8 years to retire. Hurrah!
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
So-
Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man. And like I said, don't ever be a stranger.
Oh yeah.
And we definitely going to continue to be friends and keep everything tight, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming by. And once again, this is Uncle Yab, and we Gabby.
Uncle Leb, have a good day.
That's right. And we're out.
All right, dudes.
Peace.